This was the suite of offices that was occupied by Walt Disney from 1940 until his passing in 1966. When Walt Disney passed away, his older brother, Roy O. Disney, decided to close up these offices completely. About a year later, he hired Dave Smith, who was the first archivist here at the Walt Disney Company, to inventory these offices. He spent about a year in this suite, inventorying everything from paper clips to memorabilia. This office was then used by various producers and executives here at the company. In 2014, we started looking into taking this suite and putting it back to the way it was. 2015, we opened it up to honor Walt's birthday. It's open to employees and visitors here to the lot through special arrangements, but we wanted to make sure that it was available to all of the fans. So in this way, we've invited you to come in and see Walt Disney's office and share the wonderful space in which all of Walt's dreams were realized.
Walt was a creature of habit. He would start his day every morning at about 8:30 in this formal office at this very desk. The first thing he would do would sign fan cards. The secretary would put these little notes on his desk to let him know who he would be signing the fan cards to. This is what Walt would sign, give to the secretary, and she would mail it out. There would be various books that Walt would sign during the release of films. Lady and the Tramp here, for instance, would be signed and then mailed out to people writing in, asking questions about the movie, or just different fans requesting autographs.
He would also check his calendar every day with his assistants and find out what was on the agenda. He started his day by getting the business of the CEO's office out of the way, and then he could move into his working office and roll up his sleeves.
People don't realize that Walt Disney had two offices. Let's go on over to his working office. So this is Walt Disney's working office. When he first moved into this space in 1940, this was his conference room. But very soon after, he realized that when he has people into his formal office, that it was getting kind of messy because he was working in there. So he had them convert this into his working office. So this is Walt's desk that he did a majority of his work. We were sure to put back everything specific to Walt's lifetime, his time period. So the pencils, the pens, the markers, notepad, letter opener, all were things that Walt actually used, and they are here back again on his working desk, exactly like it was in 1966. On his windowsills, he had a lot of animator models. So you can see here this early model of Lady from Lady and the Tramp, and this was actually made by Joe Grant, the head of the character model department here at the Walt Disney Studios.
This office that we're in right now was the office where Disneyland was created and developed.
Disneyland. We want you to see and share with us the experience of building this dream into a reality.
This is actually a storyboard Walt had put up in his working office so that he could use it as a giant thought board. And one of the things that he did for it was to put this aerial photo of Disneyland to help him with his planning of new attractions for the park. One of the ones that I enjoy looking at is where it says the Haunted Mansion coming with 1,001 ghosts. Well, every Disney fan knows that there's 999 happy haunts in the Haunted Mansion, and so that was a change that was made before the attraction opened. Disneyland opened in 1955, the very same year that Lady and the Tramp came out originally.
This bell was rung every day at 12:30 to let Walt know it was time to go to lunch. The reason being is one day Walt was in a meeting and his secretary came up and tried to interrupt him, and he just kind of brushed her off. And then after the meeting was done, he went up to the secretary and said, "I missed lunch, why didn't you tell me?" And she said, "I did tell you." And he told her, from now on every day at 12:30, you ring this bell and I will know it is time to go to lunch. So no matter who Walt was dealing with, once that bell rang, he would get up and tell the person that he was with, it's time to go to lunch. If it was lunchtime and Walt could not get away from here, what would happen is Victor, who ran the studio commissary, would come up here and go into the little kitchenette that Walt had in his working office and whip up a quick lunch for Walt.
One of the most fun things about Walt Disney's office is this kitchen. As we mentioned before, this building, it was made in 1939 and occupied in early 1940. And of course, this idea of a hidden kitchen with doors that open and close with a push of a button was very innovative at the time and very high tech.
He was a man of very simple taste when it came to eating.
These are the sort of things that Walt Disney liked to eat. He liked Spam, he liked Jell-O, he liked chili, and these were the things that he would ask them to keep on hand for him in case he had to have a quick meal up here.
And then after lunch, he would circle the studio and check out what the guys were doing in the back lot.
You can roll whenever it's ready.
He would do the dailies down the hallway in the different story rooms, and then he would end up in this room to do all his end of the day meetings. Walt would typically leave the office between 6 o'clock and 7:30. Down here is his travel case that at the end of the day, Walt would put his scripts in to take home, to review at home, do work at home, even though he was supposed to be relaxing, and then bring it back the next day and start all over again.
You can learn a lot about a person by what they surround themselves with, and I think when you come into this office, you get a real good feeling of Walt Disney the man and what he stood for and what his legacy was all about. It's a wonderful place to be.